We already had our climactic fight, but there's 3 episodes to go. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episode 11, my reaction to episode 11, of Jentry Chau versus the Underworld. And yeah, as I was saying in the cold open there, we already had our big climactic fight against Chang. We already had, like, the big, like, climax of the series that everything had been building towards in episode 10. And it was great. It was fantastic. It was an exciting episode. A lot of great moments, a lot of amazing animation. But now we have to cover what's next. We have 3 more episodes. And I assume within this time we're going to probably have a talk with Gugu. We definitely have to do that. There's still the fact of Gentry's parents to address, her grandmother, Gugu's sister, to address. We have to deal with the Mogwai, who had been, not really controlling Chang, but amplifying his anger and desperation to save his daughter. And, they kind of fused in a way. So we have to deal with the Mogwai as well, who Jentry seems to be kind of formulating a deal with, which is not good. But we have to do all of this in 3 episodes. And I was talking about this last time, but it's like, I could see this maybe being 2 episodes, but 3? How are we going to fill out 3 episodes with all of this? Because the stuff with the parents and the grandmother could both be 1 episode. I don't see that needing more than 1 episode, because that could absolutely tie together. Even Gugu, that could tie together with Gugu. And then, stopping and defeating the Mogwai for good could be another episode. But why is there 3? There has to be something else that's going to happen. And it's like, I guess maybe we could, address Michael a little more, because we haven't really dealt a lot with his powers and everything as much as we really should have, I feel. We did a lot more addressing with Kit, and his sacrifice in the end, extremely tragic as it was, it felt like a full character arc for him. It felt like he served his arc, and his arc, while tragic, was really good. Michael hasn't had that as much, though. Michael feels like they're just setting him up. And this is kind of where I'm, wondering if they do want to do another... Well, I mean, we kind of know they want to do another season. They've said as much. They just need, Netflix to greenlight. It's based on viewership and everything. So, go watch this on Netflix as well, please. But, either way, it feels like if this is all we get, Michael kind of got a little bit of the shaft, which is unfortunate for a number of reasons. He just feels like, I mean, outside of maybe Stella, he feels like the least developed of our main characters. And honestly, I barely count Stella as a main character, because she seems more of a supporting role. But Michael, Kit, and Gentry were kind of the main trio in a way, while everyone around them was supporting and sidecast. And again, Gentry's been obviously great as the main character, and Kit had an amazing character arc as sad as it ended. But Michael is just unless they really go hard with him and his powers in these last 3 episodes, I feel like he's the one that they just didn't put as much effort into, which is kind of sad. It really is. So I do hope that they do more with him here. Maybe they will. But like I said, we do have to address Gugu, because while Gentry made it clear that she did miss her and did want her back, I really feel like we need to address what she did, because she barely apologized and hasn't really made anything right, considering what she had done. All the horrific, like, terrible things she did cannot just be forgiven at the drop of a hat like that. She needs to earn that trust back. She needs to earn, like, a relationship with Jentry. And if they just kind of, like, speed run Jentry forgiving her because family or something, because she's the only family Jentry really has at this point, I'm really not a fan of that. I really hope they don't just do that. But we'll see. We will see. My biggest hope for these final episodes, though, is that it does, like, whether or not another season ends up happening or is planned or whatnot, I hope that this wraps things up in a satisfying enough way to where it's like, okay, even if no more comes, I can be happy with where it left off. Because I've seen almost no show be able to do that. Dead End Paranormal Park, Glitch Text, all these shows just kind of ended on cliffhangers and unanswered questions, and it really sucks. I think there's only 2 shows I can think of that ended in a way where it's like the story's clearly not finished, but I can be satisfied. One of them is Infinity Train. I know a lot of people will disagree with that, but because of Infinity Train's anthology-style seasons, where each season is its own story, I feel like I'm okay with it having not ended, because while there's some unanswered questions, I feel like that kind of works for the series. And on top of that, it's like, it's not an ongoing narrative throughout every season. Each season is its own narrative that is wrapped up in the end. So I'm satisfied with Infinity Train, though I would have loved to see more, of course. The only other series that I can think of off the top of my head, at least, that has given a satisfying ending despite the story not being finished is Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter's ending, while very clearly not being finished, the way it ended with the chairman election arc is actually very satisfying. The 2011 anime specifically is what I'm referring to, by the way. Because obviously we know the manga continued well past that, and there's actually word of maybe the anime continuing, because there's apparently news like about the directors and the company or something like appearing at some event later this year. So there's like theories floating around that, oh, we might be getting another season, which would be awesome, but I feel like there's not enough evidence at the moment to support that. It's just a theory right now. But yeah, it goes well past where we've gotten, but the way that it was ended, the things that it closed out on, it does feel satisfying, because it closed out on a lot of the major storylines that we had going. And although, again, not everything was answered and there's a lot of questions, a lot of loose threads, the big things that we wanted and the way that the ending was presented felt like, okay, we're good with this for now. If we ever get more, cool. If we don't, at least it ended in a nice way. So I hope Jentry Chau at least gets that. Even if it doesn't get another season. But if it does get another season, I'm open for that as well. I'm very open for more of this. Either way, though, I think we should get into this episode and see where it leads. I don't know yet whether we're going to do the final 2 episodes together. We'll maybe talk about that in the afterthoughts. I feel like it's going to depend on where this episode leaves off for us. So let's get into this and we'll find out. Hold up just a second there. Before you click that link in the description below to go to today's reaction, I want to take the moment to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 every day except Thursday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget about all the awesome gaming content over on the Princessa Gaming channel. Every day of the week we have some awesome Let's Plays, we have streams, we have all kinds of great content. And please, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to like this video if you want to see more awesome content such as this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get to today's video. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, yeah, so the Mogwai is the main final villain. It's kind of behind Chang being the initial main villain, and was part of his entire plot in the first place, so it makes sense. It's kind of like, you thought just it was kind of Chang himself, but no, it was the Mogwai inside him that was the true main villain pulling the strings the entire time. And so, I was wondering, like, how this was going to go, especially at the beginning when for a second there I thought the Mogwai was killed. No, it was just taken to DU. And so this entire episode kind of acted as a prison break, which was successful in everything it needed to be. But I also want to talk about Flora real quick, about Gugu. Because throughout this season, like, I've progressively more and more, like, become very anti-Gugu, as you've noticed. And I've made a very big point of saying, like, even last episode and into this episode, that while she apologized, she has not truly made things right. And I feel like this episode really hasn't made much change with that. She acknowledged that she was in the wrong. Not just acknowledged she was in the wrong, but that everything is her fault. Which is great as a start. But beyond that, and beyond helping Jentry in DU, she hasn't done much else to actually properly make it up. It kind of goes into the entire phrase of actions speak louder than words. You know, that entire thing. And Flora's actions have really not been any different than they've usually been. Because Flora would absolutely have still come to Gentry's rescue and still helped her out. That would have already happened. Even while she was lying to her and manipulating her and, you know, all of that. But again, her admitting to her faults and that she's, like, everything that's happened, including, you know, Gentry's father's death and what's going on with Mooney, all of this is her fault. And the fact that she's admitting to this, the fact that she's being a lot more open and honest, is a good start. But she needs to take it further. And you kind of wonder, like, what is she supposed to do? Die for her like Kit did? And that would be one way to do it. That would absolutely be a way of redemption, because that's kind of what it was for Kit. I don't think it has to be that, though. But she definitely needs to prove herself, and she just hasn't fully done that yet, in my eyes. She has to find a way to make it very clear she's not going to lie to Jentry anymore, she's not going to manipulate her anymore, and she's going to actively turn things around. And I think the best way to do that without killing her off, like, fully killing her off, I mean, I obviously know she's dead, but, you know, like, destroying her soul or whatever. The best way to do that without doing something like that would be to have her, like, fully 100% helping Jentry. No more, like, trying to hold Jentry back in order to protect her and everything, to, you know, make things right in her eyes. No, she has to fully side with Jentry and do everything she can to be entirely on her side here. She has to put all of the trust that she that she lost from Jentry, she has to put that trust into Jentry. She has to trust that Jentry knows what she's doing, especially after what just happened with the Mogwai at the end there. Because you could see, like, when they were escaping, she was really worried about the Mogwai taking away her chi and being in her body too long. The instant they come out of the portal back into their world, she rips the Mogwai from her body and says, "You're not controlling me. You're not doing this to me like you did with Chang. I am in control. I used you for my purposes. You are not worth anything more than that." Jentry proved that she is capable. She proved that she can handle things. And Gugu now needs to put that trust into her. That is, I think, how she will redeem herself. Because I don't think she's going to die again. I don't think they're going to do that again. They literally killed her off already. They're not going to do that again. At least I hope not. that would feel like a bit much. Mind you, if they do it in a good way, I guess there's that, but it would feel like a bit much. But the Mogwai did take enough of her chi to be able to, enact his plans without having to need to make a deal. So he kind of, he just invaded, oh god, Horseface and, shit. I make it no secret that I'm bad with names. Horseface, I'm looking at the credits here, Oxhead. He invaded Oxhead, finished killing off Horseface, which, Jesus, and has now manipulated the rest of you into following him to get revenge. That's fun. So it's literally going to be Jentry Chau versus the Underworld. Like, I was thinking the title was more like just in general, like facing all of these demons and everything throughout the season. No, it's referencing this ending battle. Jentry is facing the entirety of the forces of the Underworld. That's insane. That's pretty wild. And yeah, I can see now how this is going to be 3 episodes. Because we had this episode with trying to break the Mogwai out and everything to get the information on Mooney. Next episode's probably going to be finding her because Jentry knows where she is now. And then the final episode's going to be the battle against the forces of the Underworld. It makes sense now. It tracks. I'm fully in on that. It's just, going into this, I wasn't sure exactly how it was going to be paced, but yeah. Michael is definitely going to have a role to play in the next 2 episodes, though. They set that up here. And with... I feel like another reason why Gugu, like, putting her trust in Jentry is going to be the way she's redeemed. I feel like it's also going to help with Jentry putting her trust in Michael. Trusting that he'll be able to help as well and that she's not going to be worried about losing him anymore. I feel like those two are going to connect because that just makes the most sense to me, and I feel like that's going to allow Michael to have a real time to shine here in the final 2 episodes. And then we have, like, a lot of the imagery in this episode was insane. Like, I know it's the Underworld and everything, but they really went hard with some of this imagery. Like, it was actually scary imagery, which is good. I mean, because this series started off with, like, introducing a lot scarier imagery than we expected, or at least than I expected going in. It like, actually caught me off guard with how genuinely frightening it could be. And I'm glad that it's kept that throughout the season and really went hard on that in this episode, because it makes sense that it would. It makes perfect sense that this episode would really, really go into that. And I'm really excited to see how this does end at this point. I love the character arc that Jentry goes through here, like having to learn to, like, kind of find a lot of self-acceptance with herself, because at the beginning of the series, she's very self-hating because of what happened when she was a kid. and she's just trying to avoid powers and everything else. And it's very clearly going to a point of full self-acceptance to where she's going to be in a much better place mentally and emotionally by the end. We're definitely seeing that here. And I feel like Jentry at the beginning of the series would have absolutely been like, she would have lost control to the Mogwai. It's because of everything that she's gone through and all the growth that she's faced that she was able to have the strength to be able to rip the Mogwai out of her, to say no to its influence. We literally saw it whispering in her ear, trying to manipulate her. And she still fought back and was able to, on her own, reject it. That shows how far she's come, and it shows immense strength. And I don't even know if she's fully aware of how impressive that is. But I'm very excited to see this. We definitely need to get resolution with Mooney, but I also hope we do get resolution with Flora's sister. I hope she's either healed or at least finds peace. Because it really feels like we need resolution with that aspect too. We also have to deal with the fact that the Mogwai is very clearly intending to use the spirit of Gentry's father against her. He mentioned that her father's there, and yeah, it's gonna be bad. That's probably going to really fuck Jentry up a lot, and I'm afraid of where that's gonna go, to be fair. We had Ed in this episode too, but he was just kind of there. Like he was like acting as like a good friend and support for Jentry, but he didn't really have much like of a big moment or anything. He helped out. He was there. He was cool, but yeah. Again, I'm just really interested to see where they take this at this point with these final 2 episodes. But that comes into the question, like I was talking about in the pre-thoughts, I would wait to see until after this episode to determine if I wanted to do the last 2 episodes together. The thing is, right now, it's kind of seeming like the last 2 episodes are going to, while they're definitely going to connect, it seems like the next episode's going to focus mostly on, you know, finding and probably at least trying to save Mooney. While the final episode's mostly going to focus on the main battle. Though the main battle might begin at the end of the next episode. I think I want to keep them separate because I think it just seems like, again, they're not going to be separate exactly, but they're going to act in their own ways. They're going to, like, kind of be this thing where it's like, oh, this one episode is focused on Mooney and everything, and leads into the final confrontation, the final battle against the Underworld. I think it's better if I leave them separate. So we're gonna next week just do episode 12, and we'll finish it off with episode 13 the week after. I think that's the best way to do things here. So yeah, that's our plan. But tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode? This was really fucking good. Like, this episode, like, really was like pushing forward a lot of what everything in this season has built towards, and we're gonna see more of that in the next 2 episodes, I feel. So buckle up, because this is about to get even crazier. By the end, I bet you anything. Tell me your thoughts down below, and for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.